Hello, it's ukulele time. I'm librarian Ben in Adult Services here. And this lesson, I'll teach you the most common chord progressions in popular music. Now, most popular music in the West relies on a few different chord progressions and very few chords. A lot of songs just use 3 or 4 chords. If you can play these, you can play most popular songs. And the more you play these kind of progressions and learn songs using them, the better your ear will get, or you can hear a song on the radio or on the streaming platform of your choice, or the dentist's office or anywhere and be like, that's a 1-5-6-4 progression. To do this, I'll teach you the Roman numeral numbers for chords that musicians use. This method allows you to play a song in any key. In my previous lessons on the major scale, I talked about the numbers for each interval in a scale. It's the same concept to number chords. If you haven't seen those videos, no worries. You can still do the exercises, as getting a feel for playing in different keys will help you hear chord progressions and get a better ear for them, and just give you more things to practice. All that said, let's get started. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about what these Roman numerals are with the scale, the chord numbers. So on the screen, you'll see the corresponding Roman numerals to the scale. So the C major scale is on there. It just goes up the alphabet, C to C. So C, D, E, F, G. Always stops at G. That's the last letter of the musical alphabet. And it starts over. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So it's pretty much just numbering that scale the same way we did learning the numbers of the C major scale. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 different notes of the scale, and there's also 7 different chords. So each of those chords is built off of those letters of the scale, each of those degrees. So notice that there's only 3 capital letters. The 1 is capital, the 4 is capital, and the 5 is capital. So that means each of those are major chords. So the C, the F, and the G are all major chords. Every other note of that scale that the chord is built off of is minor. So the 2 chord that is a D would just be a D minor chord. If you don't know that chord yet, that's okay. We're just going to learn a few of these chords because I said that most popular music is just built off of a few different chords, which it is. The 1, 4, and 5 are the most commonly used chords in popular music, those 3 major chords. Then after that, we'll incorporate the minor 6. So using those 4 chords expands the amount of songs you can play even more. So the 1, 4, and 5 are all major, and all the other chords are minor. But the only ones we'll be learning today are the 1, 4, and 5. But with these numbers, you can play in different keys. So let's take a look at the key of G. Now we have G on the screen. Now remember, if we went through a G major scale, it does have a sharp in it. So memorizing these, it helps to know some of the scales already. But we'll go through the exercises. There's really only a few different keys you play on the ukulele in general, unless you're using a capo. So starting with, we'll just use a few different keys to learn these different chords. So you don't even have to worry about the F sharp because we're not playing the 7. We're playing the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6 today. In the key of G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. We're playing the 1, the G, the 4, the C, the 1, the G, the 4, the C, and the 5, the D, and then we'll also be playing that minor 6, the E. So 1, 4, 5, and 6. Now, just to show the other two chord examples, the key of D is on the screen now. And that has 2 sharps in it, but again, we don't have to worry about that because we're just playing the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6. So we have the D, the G, the A, and the B minor because it's lowercase. So the 1, 4, and 5 are the capital letters are all major. So playing in the key of D, the 1 chord, the key that we're playing in is D. Then the 4 chord is G. Then the 5 chord is A. And the 6 minor chord is B, which is a bar chord. We'll go over those in a moment here too. And last example, the key of F goes through the alphabet again. F, G, starts over after G with A, B, C, D, E, F. So in this one, we do have a flat, which is in the key of F, which I went through all these chord examples in previous exercises. We're also going to look at these chords again just as a review, but these are the most common keys to play in ukulele, so you'll come across these chords most often. So F is your 1 chord, and we'll just do the 1, 4, 5, and 6. B flat, a bar chord, is your 4 chord. C is your 5 chord, and D minor, remember, because it's lowercase letters, D minor is your 6 chord. So that's the Roman numerals. It's the same concept as the intervals, that the chords are built off of each step of the scale. So the root, the first note of the chord, is the note that it's named after. So the F chord is the first chord, the G minor chord is the second, it's built off of the G, the A minor chord is the third, and so on. So each of those steps in the scale has a corresponding chord to it that it's built off of. And the most important ones are the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6. So that's that in those keys. And now we're going to look at how to play some of those chords, the 1, 4, 5, and 6 in those different keys. As a review, we'll look at all the chords laid out. Okay, now on the screen, you will see some chords for review. So I've gone through all these in previous lessons. I'll go through them now just as a review in case anyone missed some of them. Basically, it's the second sheet of the handout that you can download that I'll be going through the chords from. There's 16 different chords in 4 different keys. So you won't really be going through all 16 chords in one song. Most songs use 3 or so, but 3 or 4. But each chord family is represented here. well, the most common chord families on the ukulele. So C, G, D, and F. So just to review these, and then at the top of the sheet, it shows which is the 1, which is the 4, which is the 5, and which is the 6. So if you have trouble remembering how to figure out each chord in the scale, if you have these memorized, you're in good shape. So in the key of C, you have your C major chord, which is shown on the screen. I won't play it too much because this is the very first chord I teach, period. So 3rd finger on 3rd fret, the rest are open. The 4th chord, or sorry, the 4 is the F. That is shown on the screen. I'm not going to play these long because these are all review. The G chord is on the screen now. Each of those numbers represents your finger, remember? And then the next chord is the A minor. I'm going through these as if you've played them before. Okay, now the key of G. G chord. Remember, these are all major except for that minor 6. The C chord is the 4 chord in the key of G. The D chord is the 5. And the E is the 6. So just a review of where those numbers are coming from. G, 1. Now the C is the 4, so G starts over after G with A. G, A, B, C is the 4th chord. D is the 5th chord. And E is the 6th chord. So same concept in different keys. Let's look at the key of D. The D chord. Is that, oops. Little cluster there, the 1, 2, and 3rd finger all on the 2nd fret. Then the G chord is the 4th chord. D, E, F, G. That's 4. Then the 5th chord is 5, G, A. And then the 6th chord, which is this bar chord here, which is the minor chord. The 6th chord is B minor. And these are all in the handout, so you can practice them at your own speed. And then the last key we'll be looking at is the key of F. So F is the 1 chord. F, G, A, B, flat in the key of F. B flat is the 4 chord. B flat, C is the 5. And then your minor 6 is D minor. So these are the most commonly used chords on the ukulele. These are some of the easiest keys to play in. Okay, now on the screen, the 3rd page of the handout is the Roman numeral chord progressions. So these are the progressions, the most common, most popular chord progressions in Western popular music. And you'll notice, I'm showing them on the screen too, that it's just the Roman numerals. So that's to help reinforce the memorization of some of these. And so you can use your new skills of numbering scales and progressions to know what the corresponding chords will be in the key you're going to do. So we'll do these in a few different keys, C, G, D, and F. and I'll just give a couple examples for each. But this first chord progression, 1, 4, 5, is basically the blues progression. This progression came from the blues, and it's one of the most common chord progressions. Not just in blues, but in pretty much every genre of music uses these chords, and have songs using entirely just these chords. And it's just going through the 1, 4, and 5. And I've done some of these, like the 12-bar blues and other exercises, so I won't run through this too much here, but just playing the 1, 4, and 5 chord, trying to figure these out in the different keys. We would play it first in the key of C. So the C chord, 1. And the examples are in 4/4 time with 4 down strums. You can do any combination of up and down, or even different time signatures. You can do 3/4 too. 4/4 is the most common, so we're going to go through those right now. So in the key of C, you start with your C, then go to your F for 4 and G for 5, and then back to your 1. So you would have and repeating. So to do different variations, 1, 2, and 3. Or you could do, if you're getting comfortable with finger picking, so the 1, 4, 5, like I said, pretty much covers a lot of blues music, and it's used in other popular music, songs like C.C. Rider, Red House, La Bamba. The 50s music uses a lot of this. So once you get comfortable playing this in different keys, start listening for it in songs. You'll hear, oh, that's going just from the 1, the 4, the 5, because those 3 major chords in the key are the most common ones to go to. Okay, just one example in another key. If you're playing in the key of D, now remember, D has 1 bar chord in it. So it has that 6th chord is a B minor. So in the key of D, now we didn't even use the 6th chord in that, but it's there. Okay, the next progression we're going to go through, this is often referred to as the 50s progression, or the doo-wop progression. It is 1, 6, 4, 5. So it's using that minor 6th chord in there, along with the 1, 4, 5 chord. So I'm including a link to a Wikipedia page about the 50s progression, because it has a huge list of songs on there for examples. And you'll see on there that it's, even though it's called the 1950s progression, it has countless examples from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 2000s, and on. So even though it was popular, very popular in the 50s, A lot of other decades, a lot of other popular music in other decades uses it, and because it automatically has this kind of nostalgic sound to it. So I'll go through that in a couple different keys here. We did C and D in the 1-4-5 progression. So let's try the key of F. For the 1-6-4-5. Now the key of F has that bar chord in it for B flat, remember? And the 6th chord in F is the D minor. So in the key of F, this chord progression will sound like this. Instantly brings you back to the 1950s. So let's look at one other chord progression just to hear how it sounds in that key. So we did C and F and D. Let's try it with G. So G will have G for the 1st chord. Sorry, E minor for the 6th chord. D, G, A, B, C. So C for the 4th chord. And D for the 5th chord. Okay, so G will sound like this. See, it still has the same feel, but in a different key. So you can do, once you have those Roman numerals, you can play in any key once you know that major scale. Because, you know, the 1 chord is, the 1-4-5 are always major, and the 6, well, any other chord besides the 1-4-5 is going to be minor. So, one more chord progression to share with you, and we'll move on to that. All right, and now this last chord progression that we'll analyze with the Roman numerals is the 1-5-6-4 progression, which is used a lot more in current music. If you look at the Wikipedia link here, it has tons of examples, current, and some that go back too. But you can hear how it's really popular in current music if you listen to the group Axis of Awesome did a YouTube video called 4 Chords. If you look up Axis of Awesome 4 Chords, you can hear them do this silly medley that goes through tons of different popular songs using this chord progression. So between that and the between that and the Wikipedia link, you can have many different examples that use this chord progression. Again, this is one of the most common chord progressions in current popular music. 1-5-6-4. So, in the key of C, C is your 1, your 5 is G, your 6 is A minor, and your 4 is F. So C is 1, C, D, E, F, G is 5. A comes after G in the musical alphabet, that's 6. 4 is C, D, E, F. So C, 1, 5 is G, 6, A minor, 4, F. Now I'll just play it. So C, G, A minor, and F. Now you'll notice that I kind of switched up my patterns, strumming and finger picking with that. In a lot of the songs that are listed, you'll notice that they play this chord progression through the whole song. So they give different interest in the song by building things up and slowing them down. So you can do different strumming patterns, picking, whatever you can to build the interest and change the dynamics of the song. So let's try it with the key of G. So with a lot of these, C and G might feel the most comfortable for you. F and D both use a bar chord. So if you can just do these and feel comfortable in C and G, that's all right, until you feel more comfortable going through the bar chords. And then you can try the other keys. So G, like C, doesn't use any bar chords. So G is your 1 chord. D is your 5 chord. A major chord. E, the minor 6, E minor. And C, G, D major, E minor, and C, G, D major, E minor, and C. So that's basically the Roman numeral analysis of the chords. So you're giving each chord its own number. And the ones we went through today are the 1, 4, 5, which are the major chords, and the 6, which is the minor chord. And we went through 3 different chord patterns: the blues progression, which is the 1, 4, 5, the 50s progression, which is the 1, 6, 4, 5, and the popular progression of now that Axis of Awesome cover, and that is just the most, I guess, one of the most popular progressions used now. The 1, 5, 6, 4. I can't think of a better name for it. I don't think they have a clever name like the 50s progression, or like a progression that names it. So I just call it the 1, 5, 6, 4, or the Axis of Awesome progression, because they kind of popularized it with that medley they did. So 1, 4, 5 blues, 50s progression, and the Axis of Awesome progression. And these are some of the most common progressions you'll hear in popular Western music. And you'll be able to play thousands of songs with these. So once you have these under your belt, try to listen for them in anything you hear on the radio or wherever you're hearing music being played. It's really going to just help your ear develop for hearing these things, and just help you play the ukulele by ear. And if you're looking songs up, it's just going to help you make connections on how all these songs are very similar, that they're not all completely different. So that's what we have today for ukulele time. Roman numeral chord progressions. And you'll be able to play so many popular songs. You'll be so happy playing them. Thank you. This is ukulele time. Bye.